this is obviously something that yachting is just a mirror of, right? Like yachting is not the actual problem. This is bigger than yachting. Yet you're not telling your younger self it's okay to speak up.
Every time I spoke up, I lost the job. Huh?
So you're basically telling your younger self, keep shush, try to make money fast, and get the fuck out. And this is the problem. People are not speaking up. People are putting their head down, shushing themselves and saying, you know what, fuck it. Like you said, your younger self, make the money fast and run.
Or they came and said, you know, this is so bad what happened to you, and oh, I have a wife and children, this is so horrible. And I know that they were indirectly apologizing, but also explaining that the only reason why they didn't step in is because they were afraid to lose their job, which I, funnily enough, I understand. I demand a seat to speak on behalf of crew and women and people of color to be heard. Brokers, yacht builders, management companies who post those hypocritical comments of International Women's Day and blah blah blah, but say nothing about the inequality that they, you know, hold up themselves within their own ranks. They're all there to speak for the International World Ocean Day and oh, the bad plastic. What about your bad society? What about your bad self?
So because somebody was willing to play his game, that means that you're not willing to call him out? That makes no sense.
What does it do any good if I call out all those guys? It's just going to come across as slandering and as bad mouthing them. I'd rather take this, put it into my bank, write a statistic over it, and address it at the Super Yacht Forum where those guys have to listen.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Uncensored. For today, I'm Marien, the host of Uncensored from Yachts Mermaids. And today I have a special edition for you guys. We are revisiting the episode that I did with Margarita called Equality. And I have beautiful special ladies with me today. I have Karine from the Crew Coach. She'll be a facilitator for us today. I have the goddess of the Yachting International platform, Rhea. And I have, of course, Margarita with us from ISM. Thank you, ladies, for being part of this. And I'm gonna pass it on to you, Rhea, so you explain a little bit of why are we revisiting the episode that I recorded with Margarita.
Well, let me explain a little bit about this platform. This platform was set up back on February 14th of 2019 because I wanted to provide a platform for people to have a voice. February 14th being an important date for me because it is the one true love of my life is media and allowing those that previously haven't been heard to be heard. I spent 9 months searching for a host for Uncensored. And there was a lot of fear in the industry that if they took on the battles that this show should be taking on, that they would never be hired again. So when I found Marien and she was able to take on that battle, it was probably one of the proudest days of my life. I knew that my dream was becoming a reality. Now, you know, Karine as well has an absolutely amazing show, Your Mental Health. We are covering so many different aspects within the yachting industry. And I think people don't understand. We've had media for so often that just covers the glossy and the pretty and makes it all perfect. Well, like anything in life, there is a great side of things, and there's also the dark underbelly side of things. And I think in order to create a proper platform and a proper voice, you need to be able to cover all of those things. And I feel that we are doing that right here at Yachting International Radio. And I think that it's a collective of absolutely amazing people that have come together, each one of them specialists in exactly what it is that they do. Each person is very special in their own right. And without that collective, we wouldn't have the platform that is allowing the information get out there the way that we have, and people telling their stories in such an amazing way.
Thank you
for that.
Okay, So Margarita, could you perhaps just fill some of the listeners in that haven't heard what happened on the show? So just a summary of the conversation between the two of you.
Yeah, so we chatted about this online first, and prior to the interview we sat down and discussed some of the questions and the topic in general. So that's important, because afterwards the reaction of crew and people of the industry were very split. So during the interview, the questions went from sexism deep into some of the nitty-gritty exact examples. We wanted to actually talk about equality, or the actual inequality in the industry that encompasses more than just women, but also race and ageism and homophobia, of course, as well. I thought it was good because it was natural, it was authentic. Her questions came right out, and I had just that moment to answer, which in certain occasions, I've never for once felt attacked, because we were having a discussion about things and Marien was playing the devil's advocate. So I never at any point, especially since she's also a yachty and woman, felt attacked by her. It was actually the line of questions that I was asked by others, and men in particular, and in particular white men, who always try to, in a nuanced, blame the victim mentality, asking you the hard questions that Marien did. Mm-hmm. So one of the hard questions Marien was asking were, for example, why didn't you speak up? Why didn't you say something? Why didn't you go to authorities? And I think, as all of you are aware, and I think you also did a piece on that people do not trust the system. They had been repercussions for coming forward, or payoffs for coming forward, to avoid this ever coming further up. Even I've seen online some posts as a reaction saying that stop the bitching, let's only put lipstick on and talk about the nice things, which was maybe a response to the interview, maybe a response to one of the posts that I did a post online saying different quotes of people, what they went through. And yeah, during further the interview, people also felt a little bit not sorry, but they almost sided with me. And it took me, I don't know, 2 weeks long since the interview, since it aired, to explain to people that this is all about causing this controversial and having the discussion. Someone needs to be the bad guy, ask the hard questions, and really rip the mask off that industry that shows that you cannot really go somewhere and complain, and also take those blindfolders of the ones who have not had these experience and who have not maybe been aware of it, even though it may have happened right next to them.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but just to clarify, no. Did Marien, or maybe Marien, you can answer this, did you know that you were playing the devil's advocate role?
Yeah, I mean, the way I go into an interview on Uncensored, right? It's an uncensored topic, so I have to be very objective, because if like my mindset is, if I would go with Margarita and then I would play the poor her, then it would just be, there will be no Q&A. You know what I mean? It will be like, just let's listen to her story and that's it. But for me, it's very important to ask questions from a perspective of somebody else, you know, who wouldn't be thinking, oh, poor her or whatever, like, I don't know, just, I always think to myself, what would other people think, and questions that they might have. So that's why I kind of ask different questions,
Okay. And knowing Margarita's personality, I know that you don't want to play that role, poor me, or take pity on me. That comes across quite clear. And I'm thinking about, putting myself in the listener's shoes, and with that approach, and we can go on to the feedback in a moment of what Rhea heard, yourself, Marien and Margarita. But when it's from the approach, I think this is how the whole interview might have got misinterpreted or misunderstood, is the hard questions appear to trigger people in the sense of, as another female, it seemed like you came across with a lack of empathy or compassion. And you've just stated that you didn't want to come across as taking pity on Margarita, but more to showcase the angle that the perpetrators may take, or people that are on the stance of where you are, thinking, well, why didn't you act sooner? Why didn't you stand up for yourself?
Exactly, because those are the questions that people are asking themselves, but they are not willing to actually vocalize. You know, it's easy to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you,"
but can
then what? You know?
Yeah, can you understand where maybe some of the listeners are coming from? Where
yes, absolutely. I mean, I myself, you know, went through a grieving process after the interview. You know, where basically, as a woman in the industry, you know, as a yachty, I'm still a yachty. I'm working on boats. I realized that, you know, as Margarita was speaking and after the interview, it kind of gave light to a lot of things that has happened to me, that I actually have seen throughout 14 years that I ignore for whatever reasons. You know, there are various reasons. And that interview really awakened a lot of those stuff, and I had to go through my own grieving process of those. You know, I was angry, and I think part of the interview was that part of the grieving process without me really understanding that that was happening. Maybe even in that, I think the interview, the process of the grieving process that I was going through, the interview was also numbness, and that's why it came probably so, you know, like a perpetrator almost, you know.
That's
and I think the reality is that most of us are numb to what is happening, the reality of what we are living and seeing every day on yachts.
And we tolerate it. Yeah. We begin to tolerate it because it becomes a norm.
Exactly. Like it becomes, that's yachting, which is not, you know. And I realized that, that I had to forgive myself for ignoring, for not standing up for other people, not just women, even men as well. And for also probably being the perpetrator myself, because we all are perpetrators as well, not just victims of things. You know, we all have done things where we might have not even comments, you know, even to men, you know, that we think are okay or that are funny. And the truth is, we don't really know the story of the person. So we may be activating something in them that, you know, like a memory in them, you know, that may not feel comfortable to them. So for me, after the show was like, you know, that the end part of the grieving process where it's like, okay, I need to forgive myself and accept this is happening, and now continuing to have this platform to bring more of it out, to help people awaken themselves to the reality that they're actually in. Yeah.
Was there something specific that you said or Margarita said that made you think, you know, brought up Unsurfaced, the past?
I think it was after the show, you know, Margarita said in the interview where she stood up and was like, no, you know, like she helped somebody, you know, tried to help somebody at one point. And then I think that this was like in the cruise ships, but then when she went into yachting, she didn't feel comfortable doing it for whatever reason. And I went on a boat right after the interview. And this is a boat that I've been on for previous years before. And it's a party boat. And I actually on that boat had a incident with the owner of the boat where he basically showed himself to me naked. And in the moment, it was like, I came up to the galley, I remember, and I said to everybody, oh my God, I just saw this person's penis. like, what is happening? And everybody just laughed, and it was almost like, oh, like it's nothing. And I thought, oh, maybe it's nothing, like, why am I trying to make this a big deal? And the captain that was there, the engineer was there, all the girls were there, so it was like the chef was there. And I thought, okay, maybe because he didn't touch me, he didn't say anything, I just thought, okay, maybe it's nothing, like he's drunk. And then I went back to the boat, and they had another party, and this is years after, obviously, this is right after the interview. And I went to the boat, and I went the next day, and they had a party the night before, and the second stew told me, oh my God, this friend of the owner just opened his towel and showed himself to me. And I forgotten that this happened to me. And when she told me this, I was like, oh, that happened to me, but with the owner, and it was like, wait a second, this is not okay. This is sexual harassment, and it was that. And then that kind of like brought up a lot of other memories and stuff. So it wasn't really like, I think, in the interview, because for me, the interview, I was more in the numbness part of it. But that interview really activated something inside of me that allowed a lot of things to start coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Margarita, did you want to add to that?
Only one small bit. I think you remember the story about the cruise ship where I physically put myself in between an officer and a housekeeping Filipino. She was intimidated, not just by word, but also with body. And I did the same on yachts as well, but it cost me friendships and it isolated me. And the same effect that I've realized now on social media happened on board as well. They would privately come and salute you and show their solidarity and support, but not in public. And I understand their motivation behind it. That was one of the topics also during the interview, that the reason why people keep quiet is out of fear. And that is a big one that needs to be addressed. There was one more thing that, I don't know if you want to get into the reactions of the people already.
Yes, yeah. So if you want to start off with what you heard, and then we can move on to Rhea, Marien, yeah.
Yeah, because the reactions of many people were, how can she speak like that? That let her be the devil's advocate, because she's asking exactly what we're all thinking. And then others were, why is she cussing so much? Said, why are you distracted by cussing? Can you not follow what is actually being said? And I've realized people jump on those things so quickly because it's somehow a painful topic with them. Like what you said, that you went through a little bit of a grieving process afterwards. And I think I said to many people, as I said, it really took a few weeks, up to 4 o'clock at night, discussing it from deckhands, stewardesses, CEOs of yacht companies, builders as management, as well as captains and lawyers from the industry, to really go through this and explain what has happened and what happened to them with their reaction. I'm not a psychologist or a counselor, nothing like that. But to me, it looked like when you see an accident and it's really horrific and you have evil, bad wounds, that some people are so overwhelmed they cannot render first aid, they go to the scrape and put a bandage on while you actually have a gushing wound somewhere else, because they want to deal with something they can deal with. So they jump on the cussing. So just don't focus on that, focus on the train. And I said I was neither looking for pity nor for blame. I asked people to go beyond and ask why this is happening. Why does a woman have, maybe from cultural background or from the sheer frustration of seeing it for years, the need to use a lot of bad language? Why does this happen to me, even though I am a strong person? Why do other people are quiet about this? Because of beyond the issue of sexism and racism, there's a huge patriarchy out there that has been blind so far to tap on such a big resource as women and ethnicities. And I asked them also to really revisit some of the major points and tell me what they liked, to always end it on that point. And bottom line, they all came to the conclusion that yes, something needs to be changed because people are afraid to come out with the truth. And I mean with ugly truth, seeing penis as hurtful, or I would have probably, and I did do jokes when somebody did that. You know, sometimes just pointing with no words helped as well. So, but there's also really horrible stories out there, which you can see on my Instagram page, where, as you said, one stewardess told me the story how she was sexually assaulted, which is a nice way to say she was raped. And the purser and captain handled it nicely and respectfully with her. And without meaning harm, the purser still said, "Hey, honey, so sorry. Welcome to yachting." And that's one of a negative story. There's even worse, where people get so numb that I told you the story about the girl who was assaulted, and through the escape, she injured herself so badly that she couldn't walk. She broke her legs. Everybody's trying to keep this really quiet and really suffocate this. And the reaction of the chief stew towards the captain and management was, "Great, now I have to work twice as hard and find a new stewardess." That is some cold-blooded stuff from all of them involved, not just the chief stew, but also the captain and the management, who heard this, who knew this, and who didn't say or corrected this kind of behavior. So yeah, they avoid confrontation and they avoid guilt. And as painful as it is, if we do this, we never reach change. So we need to look beyond.
And I know that's what you're both trying to do in your particular interview, is to advocate for change. And that's the whole purpose. And what it sounds like to me, that it not only triggered Marien, but it triggered the listeners in other ways. And maybe their first reaction was to project. But I believe with time, I think with the dust settling, people are realizing the real impact of these conversations. Yeah. Rhea, what did you hear from the listeners? What feedback?
Well, I think there was a variety of people that were triggered, for sure. Re-victimizing the victim. Why didn't I censor it? That's not what this is about. If you start censoring anything, and I don't care which show it is on my platform, I'm not going to start censoring anything, because we all have a right to our opinion. We all have a right to how we heal and how we deal. And if I start telling one person they can do one thing, then I'm going to have to, where does it end? Where does it stop? The good thing about what happened here is that it opened up conversation. And this was one of the highest rated shows that I have ever had on my platform since the inception. And the conversation was straight across the industry. So whether you liked it or whether you didn't like it, what you found wrong with it, what you found right with it, the fact is you talked about it. And the more people that talk about things like this means that the likelihood that there's going to be change, and it's opening up a topic that really needs to be opened, I think is a wonderful thing. Now, if the language bothers you, it's like anything in life. You can always turn it off. And, you know, that may sound a bit harsh, but we do have those rights. And we, each and every single one of us, have a right to our opinion, a right to our thought process, and a right to how we deal and how we heal.
Thank you, Rhea. Marien, I know you had some feedback via Instagram, emails. What did you hear?
Yeah, so I was very surprised when you guys approached me with all this other feedback of people thinking, and to be honest, the first thing I told Margarita right after we recorded, I said, "Ooh, a little bit too hard." I did say this to her, and she's like, "No, like it's fine. Like, you know, you didn't say anything that I haven't heard before, you know." And I, you know, I want to make, you know, I want people to understand this is not like coldness from me, you know. I'm just playing a role for the purpose of the interview. And there's other interviews where I'm more, I have a different energy to it, you know, because it's a different topic and a different guest as well. But from the response that I got was amazing, because I got people telling me how awesome that we're talking about this. I actually got people emailing me their stories of what has happened to them, whether they were harassed, sexually abused, or actually trafficked, because that was one of the emails that I got, where they were trafficked from South America to a boat here in Fort Lauderdale, and they didn't realize they were trafficked until they were in Bahamas.
Is this,
And
sorry, is this Super Yacht Crew?
Super Yacht Crew?
Who was trafficked? The traffic?
No, this is a person that was trafficked that came to me and told me her story.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say her name.
Asking you to.
Yeah, but this happened recently in the past 3 months, and so she saw the show and she was like, I want to talk. You know, it gave her the encouragement to speak up about her own story, and she told me that after she put it out there and, you know, wrote me all these emails, that it was almost like a weight lifted, because she was able to vocalize it. And I had other people tell me other stories via Instagram or email. So, and then I went back and looked when you guys approached me. I was like, wait, let me look at my comments, you know, on social media. And I went back and they were all very positive, where they were actually saying, thank you for, you know, for opening up this dialogue and blah, blah, blah. So I was a little bit surprised when you guys approached me with the other side of the coin, I guess. But it, you know, it's okay. I'm not here, you know, I'm not $100 bill. I'm not pretending for everybody to like me. I know that the show is going to raise a lot of different opinions, activations, triggers, whatever you want to call it. And I'm okay with it. And when when I took on the show, I knew what I was doing. I knew where I was getting into, but I realized that, you know, I had a show with a woman after Margarita about trafficking. And she said to me, when you want this to happen, the change to happen, you have to be willing to put your life on the line. And that may sound extreme, but I understand what she was saying, where you cannot hide anymore. You know, you have to put your face out there. Somebody has to. And I'm willing to. I have nothing to lose. I don't believe that this show has an effect on my career, on my personal career. You know, I don't have that belief. So for me, putting my face live and for the yachting industry to view and see all this, I'm okay with it. You know, I'm okay with it. That's why I'm doing it. And I feel like after 14 years in the industry, this is my way of giving back to the industry. You know, I have given a lot to owners, you know, beautiful adventures and beautiful service. Now I want to give back to my family, the crew, you know, the ones that have been with me, cheering me, and also, teaching me through other lessons, you know. So that's the feedback that I got. You know, people were very, very happy that we're talking about this, you know.
Yes, maybe we have not made that point. There was really enormous positive feedback and many more people coming out with many horrifying stories, and being thankful that somebody voices this, and that somebody gives a platform so people can do a show, and that other people can come out and share their opinions, and more women coming forward with ideas how to solve it. And we should need to say this too, and I think we're doing a better job in this industry, because we're looking at the compliments, but we're also looking at the criticism. And I think we really kicked the hornet's nest here, and I think it really needed to be done. And as much as I'm all for positivity and good feedback, it's evident in history that change cannot be just made with some kindness and sweetness. And I honestly am thankful that you asked hard questions. I've never once felt attacked. And I want you to just continue asking the hard questions, prod, be mean, be a man if you wish, but say these things. And for you not to censoring the platform, I thought that's the best thing. We had a conversation about it as well, because I had messages from yacht companies saying, you sure you want to do this? sure this is good for your career. And as Marien says, you put your life and your job on the line. And for me, it feels like it's time to join that club of warriors. And for that, I'm thankful that people let me be their voice and that you let me say it out loud.
And I think that Marien picked the perfect person to have that discussion, because you show strength and resilience. And who knows, if it was someone else with those particular style of questions, they might have taken it a bit differently. But I think it was a perfect combination, and both of you showed strength. And I'm so appreciative of your vulnerabilities here today and speaking what that was like before and after.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Anytime, by the way. You want to hear more stories? Let's do it. You want to go through the process of the few conversations I had with some CEOs on LinkedIn and telephone calls? We can go through it, because there was a lot of reactions also from the higher ranks. And anytime.
Thank you. Rhea, did you want to add anything else?
Well, yeah, you know, I thank everybody for their participation, and I think that this platform wouldn't be what it is today if not for each and every single one of you. We're raising issues. We're opening up the conversation that hasn't been opened before. We have a lot of very strong, opinionated, and courageous people coming on board here, both men and women. And we are also not willing to stop at just having the conversation. We're also doing our homework and looking towards finding solutions once these conversations have been raised. We are a platform for anyone that has anything to discuss, and you are more than welcome to contact us at any time. And we will either protect your identity, or we will give you the platform like Margarita to say exactly what it is that you want to say, how you want to say it, when you want to say it, and on your own terms.
Totally, I agree. Yeah. You don't feel shy to not approach us, because we're very approachable and we're open to a discussion. Yeah. Marien, did you want to add anything else?
No, I'm just thankful that we're having this conversation. For those who had a few questions, who felt that it wasn't the right questions or the right way to approach it. Yeah, we're just real people having real conversation. That's all it is, you know? So yeah, so thank you. Thank you everybody for watching this special edition of Uncensored. And remember, if you have something to share, some wisdom to pass on, contact me at info@yachtsmermaids.com. And yeah, keep tuning in into Yachting International Radio, because there's a lot more coming your way.